Inside your bedroom, we stopped counting the days, lost in the rhythm.
I don't feel super well, so for some reason I thought today was a good day to film a video. Today we are filming the I make a boo basket, oops, for my husband. So that is what we are going to be working on today. I've been wanting to do this project. I've seen really cute ones online, and so I went out and I bought a lot of fun things to put in the boo basket. We'll go through all of the things I got as we create it. I also thought it would be a really good opportunity to chat with you guys and answer some questions. I try to do a Q&A about every quarter-ish, and I mostly stick to that because it just kind of, I don't know, it just works out. There gets to a point about every quarter where I'm between projects, I'm between YouTube things, and there's just not a lot for me to report on, or I'm in the middle of drafting and I'm just working, and so there's just not a lot to show you guys. And so these Q&As are really fun, and it's a good opportunity to create content for you guys, update you guys, and answer any questions you might have. So that's what we're gonna do today. So the very first thing I got was this adorable little bucket bowl. I got this from Walmart. The sticker's still on the bottom even. So super cheap, little over $2, almost $3. Really nice. I really like these buckets for things, not just like this. I plan on reusing it as like a candy / popcorn bucket after we're through with this. So I'm gonna have to remind Alex to bring it home, or else it will end up remaining at school, I'm sure. So if you didn't know, my husband is a high school principal, assistant principal. He is over freshmen and electives and the special ed department. That's what he does. I used to work at that same high school as a school counselor. I just left. And it's funny because I moved out of that office and he moved into it. It's not the exact same office. It's an adjoining office. But it's just kind of funny that when I moved out, he kind of moved into that world that I had been working in with so many of those people. So just kind of funny things. So we're going to start with this. I got this at Walmart. I had leftover tissue paper that happened to be white. So we're going to decorate the outside of this bowl with this tissue paper and then put all of the things in it. So we will do that while I answer the first question. The first question is, what are you doing for the holidays? I am going to kind of take an interpretation of this because I think you meant just personally. I'm going to talk more about writing projects that I'm going to be doing through this holiday season up to 2025. I realized it was going to be kind of crunchy, so I went ahead and put a bit of tissue paper in here so that it's not going to be doing this the whole time that we talk. So, holidays. So personally, we do quite a few different holiday get-togethers with my family. I will see my family here in town So Alex and I and Finn plus my parents. Usually that's the same one where we have my sister and her husband, but they now live in DC. So I don't think they're going to be able to come home this year for like Christmas, Thanksgiving. And so we may not see them. It may just be like a Zoom call during that. And then we do a dinner with my mom's side of the family, my dad's side of the family, and another dinner with my husband's side of the family. So all in all, we end up with like 4 or 5 different get-togethers for the holidays. So holiday time's really busy for us between Thanksgiving and Christmas because we do that for both of those holidays. Me in author business world, for the holiday season, I've got a lot of things planned. I want to do a Christmas book sale for all of my backlist. I'm actually currently planning that. Fun fact, with Amazon, you can only like list your books on a promotion once every 30 days. You can really only change the price of your book to be eligible for promotions once every 30 days. And so I discovered that as I tried to do one for this Halloween-y season and realized not all of the books that I was going to do for that are eligible. So I am saving that up for Christmas time. So planning to do that. I also do I have that with me? Let me go grab that. All right. So currently what I will be writing for the rest of this year is Trial of Flame and Wings, which is my dragon book. It has a trial for the hand and marriage of a princess who does not want to be a part of that kingdom. It wants to usurp the throne. And so in true like Merida from Brave style, she enters the trial for her own hand. And so there's that, there's dragons. It'll be a really big epic fantasy series that I'm excited about. And my goal for the rest of this year is to finish writing it by the end of November. So I made myself a calendar with major events. It has the date that I want to be finished writing that by. So that is what I will be working on really for the remainder of this year. So I'll be writing that book. As soon as I get edits back here pretty soon from my editor for Frozen as Friends, I will make my revisions and finalize everything for publication for that book. So writing wise, it's only Trial of Flame and Wings that I'm working on. Publication wise, I have Frozen as Friends, and Winter Witches is re-releasing with that new cover and new steamy scene. So for the remainder of this year, it's October right now. So we've just released Curse of Wings and Darkness. So there's not anything else coming up in October. November 1st, Winter Witches re-releases with the steamy scene, a new cover. That's on November 1st. I will then take that time to polish up the second book in that series, which is Frozen as Friends. And that book will come out in December. I'm getting ready to announce all of the fun promotional stuff for that release super, super soon. So that will come out in December. And November we'll be finishing writing Trial of Flame and Wings, because once the new year rolls around, my plan is to start professional edits for this book so that it can come out in the springtime. So the end of this year is really just my winter releases. So the winter series, Winter Witches and Frozen as Friends, that is the heavy part. And at some point during the release month, so December, of Frozen as Friends, I'm going to release the cover and release date for the final book in that series. I have not released the title for that one even. And so there's a lot this next month, November and December, that's strictly for the Season of Witches series. And if you don't know what that is, Winter Witches and Frozen as Friends are a part of the Season of Witches interconnected series where all of these witches have powers based on seasons and the like seasonal solstice. So in winter, they all have winter powers. That That's where Winter Witches and Frozen as Friends comes in. That's all set in this winter world around the winter solstice. I do have other books planned for spring, summer, and fall, and I'm not sure which one I'm going to jump to next. It might be summer because I have stronger formed ideas for the summer solstice and those characters than I do some of my other seasons right now. So we may jump to summer next, but that is the Season of Witches. Super fun, light it's light fantasy romance compared to things like Curse of Wings and Darkness and Trial of Flame and Wings, which are much heavier storylines, a little darker. So that, to answer your question, what are you doing for the holidays? That is what I will be doing in like my author professional sense for the holidays. Oh, and fun fact, I am finishing up my program to be an LPC during the holiday season. So I will be done in mid-December with the last of my coursework, which is just the practicum, so like internship hours. And then I will take tests. And as long as I pass those tests, starting in probably January, I will be what they call an LPC candidate, which means that I will be a therapist under supervision by somebody else. And so I already have all of that set up. It'll be at the same agency I've been working at. So I'm really excited about that. So that's also happening in the holiday season. All right, we got some tissue paper down. I think the next thing I'm gonna put in at like the back is this little neon sign, this P. This was not something I planned to put in a boo basket. I went with my mom to Hobby Lobby and I was telling her that Alex doesn't really have anything in his office. He just isn't a decorating kind of person. He's never decorated any of his offices, fun fact. So he just doesn't think to. And so I was telling her I thought it would be really fun to do a bit of decorating for him, but he wouldn't let me. And so as I was saying that, Finn picked this out because he thought this was fun, that it lit up. So this is kind of a gift from Finn for the boo basket, but I thought it was cute. I don't know if he'll end up putting it in his office. It may end up coming back home with us and going somewhere in our house, which is also fine. But I thought it was cute. It was something Finn picked out, so we are putting it in the boo basket. So I will just like stick it here in the back. Make sure I'm putting it in the back so you can still see the little smiley jack-o'-lantern face. So we're just gonna stick it like that, and then we're gonna move on to the next question. The next thing that I got is these K-cups of the Black Rifle pumpkin spice coffee. Yes, Alex and I really like flavored coffees at the holidays. There's this peppermint coffee we really like at Christmas time, and we're both big fans of all things pumpkin. So I got him some of these. He has an espresso machine for his office, but there is like a community coffee pot that is a Keurig. And so I actually bought a lot of things for this basket, and I expect him to kind of share it a little bit, just knowing him. And so I thought this would be nice. It's different than what he has for his Nespresso, so we're gonna add this to the basket. Another question I got is, what is your favorite thing to write? So we will answer that next. My favorite thing to write, of course, everything I write is fantasy romance. That's what I like to write the most. But to be extremely specific, I really, really like to write fantasy romance that takes place in a fantasy world. I really like doing really deep character development, which I do with all of my books, but I also like to do that same thing with world building. So my favorite thing to write are those really deep kind of epic fantasy works. They do take a lot of time though, which is why I haven't done very many of them in the past, just because they do take so long to produce. And so it works really well that I'm doing Trial of Flame and Wings in between some of these quicker romance plots. Like all of the Season of Witches books are extremely quick writes for me. Like, write them in a month. They don't require a whole lot of editing. They're really quick reads as well. Curse of Wings and Darkness is a bit darker, but since it's romance forward, it's mostly a romance plot, not so much the fantasy, because it does take place in the real world. It's also a pretty quick write for me as well. And so that's nice to switch between those two different kind of plots. I've said it before that it keeps me fresh when I can alternate. That's also how I read. I'll read a really heavy fantasy book, and then I'll have to switch to kind of a fluffy romance book, just to like switch things up a bit to keep my creativity fresh. And so that's kind of how I've decided to write as well. And so I'm super excited that I'll be publishing a kind of epic fantasy this year, because that is by far my favorite kind of story to tell, is that kind of story that requires a lot of world building, and basically you create the whole thing from scratch, versus like an urban fantasy where the setting may already exist and so you don't have to create it as much. So I'm excited to do that. What I'm adding to the boo basket next are these Reese's pumpkins. Reese's are one of Alex's favorite candy bars. Anything peanut butter and chocolate he really likes, and I also like anything peanut butter and chocolate. So I bought these because they're nice and spooky for the season, and I'm just gonna stick the entire bag as is in here in this basket. Next question. I haven't gotten this question in a while. It is, what inspires you? And so I'm assuming like creatively, what inspires me to write, what inspires my writing, all that kind of influence stuff. So I haven't answered this one in a hot sec. There are a lot of things that inspire me. Some of the obvious ones, I guess, are some of my favorite authors. It's really hard to pick favorites. So I don't really have favorite authors, but there are some that I really find myself like gravitating towards, because the way they write or the way they create something is similar to the way that I tend to, or like I can sense that it's similar. So for instance, one of my favorites is Carissa Broadbent. I love her books, and the way that she world builds is just like so complete, and it's the way I often world build. So she's talked a lot about some of her process online, not in a little while though, but she used to, and we seem pretty similar. And I also like to write some of the same books that she does, and so we both write fantasy, and I really enjoyed that some of her books really lean into that kind of like morally gray area with love interest. Nobody in her world is wholly good. And I really enjoy that, because I find that that's how the real world works. And so I really like that about what she writes. Right now, I'm actually reading through Anna Huang's backlist, and I find her romance books to be a little similar to like my Season of Witches. So Season of Witches is similar. It's like Anna Huang books, but they're witches. We both are doing that kind of interconnected story thing. And the more I write like that for my lighter romances, the more I absolutely adore that writing style. And so if you're somebody that likes to read a lot of her books, a lot of her fluffy romances, Season of Witches is quite similar, just with that magical element in it. The fantasy stuff is on the back burner though, and the romance is more of the leading plot in those books. I'm also really inspired by settings a lot. So I love the outdoors, which is what plays a lot into my fantasy world building. I love being outside. I love animals. I love plants. I love all of that stuff. And so that really inspires me to be creative. Just sitting outside with like the white noise of outside. I love outdoorsy sounds. That helps my brain somehow it like fosters creativity in my brain. It allows me to think when I have that kind of background noise. Same thing with coffee shops. The background noise of like a coffee shop helps me to think also. So I also feel really inspired by being in coffee shops. And I think because there's just that culture there of everybody's working on something when they go in. And so it's kind of fun to feel like you're collectively doing something together, but you're all doing your own thing. That's really fun. So setting really inspires me. So when I write, I have to set the scene. So I usually create a playlist as I go that I'll listen to on repeat. Sometimes I listen to specific songs on repeat if I'm working through a specific emotion that feels tied to a song. I'll listen to that same song until I'm through that part of the book. And I've recently started using a Pomodoro app, a website to help time my sprints. In that website, you can create like backdrops, set the scene, you can get music going all in this one workspace on your computer. So I don't have to flip between tabs, which is where I tend to get distracted because I also have ADHD. So if something pops up in front of my face, it may interrupt my thought process and then I'm all distracted. And so I love that it's all on one website, and that website, got a little bit tongue-tied there. That website is wonderspace.app, and it is super, super helpful for me setting the scene so that I can sit down and write more effectively. So I actually, by using that website, I've sort of learned and trained my brain to fall into the story quicker. And so I can get things done a little more effectively by using that website, along with all of the functions that you can put directly on one page. So that has been hugely helpful. The next thing I'm going to add to my basket here are these peach rings. There's a local shop that sells like nuts, candy. They also have spaces designated for different vendors in town. And so it's it has a really cool feel to it. It's like a mercantile. And one thing they carry is these Mountain Man Nut and Fruit Company little candies and nuts. And a lot of these things you can purchase and they will create a basket for you, which we have done in the past for gifts. But I really like to go in there and buy some individual things. So Alex and I really like these sanded gummy peach rings. These are delicious. They are one of Alex's favorite candies, actually, are those peach rings. These are just extra good, I think. I like these better than some of those other brands that you find at like a quick store, a gas station or something. So we're going to put these in the basket next. Somebody asked me, what is your advice for getting started? I really liked this question because honestly, I truly believe that outside of like grammar rules, there's not a lot of rules to writing. You can pretty much write whatever your heart calls to you to be written, and there's likely an audience out there for that book. Whether it's a big audience or not, or how hard it'll be to find that audience, who knows? That may remain to be seen. But I do think there is an audience out there for every book. And everybody's opinions about books are different. So for everybody that loves your book, there's going to be somebody who absolutely hates your book. And that's just the truth. If you go and look at the most popular books out there, you can go and filter for 1-star reviews, and there will be people who don't like it. And that's perfectly fine. There's something out there for everybody. So my advice to people just getting started is always to write what you love. Don't think too much about what other people will think of it. Just write the story that you want to tell and get started. So that honestly, that means telling the story first. Draft one, a lot of people say this. Draft one is you telling the story to yourself. And so it's not going to be the best version of your story. You just have to put it on paper. So it doesn't matter if it's the worst thing in the world. If you get stuck somewhere, it's also totally okay to leave a little note there and say, I will fix this later. Or I don't know what this scene looks like, but enter scene where they have a fight here. You don't have to actually write every single thing down in the first draft. You can leave placeholders. That's perfectly fine. There are people who write their first drafts and then change the name of their main character later. And big details change, and that's perfectly fine. My advice is just to get started. Don't worry about what it looks like. Don't get like hung up in the details. Just start writing the shittiest thing ever and then fix it later. It's perfectly fine. So that's pretty much it. Not everybody's going to like your book. That's fine, but there will be somebody who adores it. And also, some advice doesn't work for everybody. So what people say you should do when becoming an author may not necessarily be the way that you should do it. I have found some of that to be true for myself, that some things work for some authors and some things do not at all. That's why there's such a thing as like pantsers and plotters, you know, they're different. The goal is all the same. It is a finished book on the shelf for people to love. And how you get there just looks different depending on particular people. So that would be my advice. Next thing I'm adding also comes from the Mountain Man fruit or nut and fruit company. It is these milk chocolate honeycomb candies. They were out of the dark chocolate honeycomb, which is what Alex and I love, 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 love. It is our favorite thing to go into this little local store and buy. I discovered my love for chocolate covered honeycomb at Sprouts. I think it was Sprouts, which is a store that's pretty common. It's a big box store. And they have an entire section of candies and things where you can go through and like old style scoop them out of a container. And one time I was in there and I tried chocolate covered honeycomb just for funsies. And it is my absolute favorite candy ever. Chocolate covered honeycomb. Bonus if it's dark chocolate. So they didn't have that at the store. They actually run out of it. They don't order a lot of it, I think. And so I got the milk chocolate instead, which is just as good. So we're going to tuck this in here in our boo basket, which is getting quite full down here. I'm going to find a spot for this, and then we will move on to the next question. Someone asked me, how do you pronounce your name? And I'm assuming they mean my last name. My name is Amy Prokopis. So I'll put kind of a breakdown right there that tends to help people. So if you split the word apart, it's exactly like it looks. Prokopis. So hope that helps. I also got a couple questions online when I feature photos of my dog. So I'm just going to boil it down to this, which is tell me about your dog. So this is my dog, June. She is about 9 years old is what they think. She's a rescue. My sister-in-law, one of my sister-in-laws is a dog groomer at a vet clinic, and they get foster dogs a lot. And my sister-in-law herself has like 8 dogs, and she often gets dogs that she takes on at her house and fosters. So June was one of those dogs that she fostered. She was what they think like was an abuse case. We were kind of told they found her zip tied, like her legs were zip tied together in the back of a room. She is insanely sweet. Honestly, you wouldn't know that she had been in an abusive situation because she's just so nice and loves to be around people and other dogs. She is the best snuggler, and she's a Havanese. So that's my dog, June. She's insanely sweet. With Finn, that has never been a problem. It was like no adjustment when we had Finn, because we had June first. We had June. She was about a year old when we got her. So it has been, oh my gosh, it's been 8 years since we had June. Say hello, June. Hi. Hi. The next thing we are packing into our boo basket is this really fun Hershey's Harry Potter chocolates that I found. Each chocolate is a different house. So you've got all the houses there, you know, Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Slytherin, Ravenclaw, they're all there. And you open it up and the little chocolate bar is stamped with different things from the houses. So I just thought it was really fun. So I'm gonna stick this in here somewhere. We're running out of room to stick things, so I may have to readjust a little bit, but I'm gonna put that in the boo basket next. The last few things that I have are these little spiders, also from Walmart. I am just going to decorate, just like pop them on there with a little bit of tape into the boo basket for decoration. I made this with a Canva template. I adjusted it quite a bit. So this is gonna sit on the top. So I am going to do that and stop doing questions because we've answered quite a few. So I'm going to start attaching those to the basket. Here's our finished boo basket. Hello. I'll probably end up having to better arrange it when I get to his office because I think I'm going to walk this into the office tomorrow and leave it on his desk while he's doing his morning duty. So I think we did pretty good for ourselves. So that is everything for this video. Thanks for watching. Check out all the links in the description box. Follow me on social media. Check out my books. And yeah, come hang out with me. I think it's pretty cool here. We're pretty fun. That's all for this week. And yep, read books, be kind. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Oh my God, you know